Hello Internet, Ed from Iridium Solutions. Today we're going to talk about the IRSOL wound care station. It's a bucket full of medical supplies for doing hospital type things away from a hospital setting. It's not a trauma bag. It's not for use immediately when something bad happens, but it's for use after all the trauma has been dealt with, and now what you got to do is go ahead and heal that person or those people. It's designed to take care of a wide range of problems, but not a large depth. So it won't heal, 6 or 8 people, but if there's a couple people, something's gone wrong and you can't get them to a hospital for whatever reason, it's got the things you need to help make them better. We did a video recently that talked about Canadian medical laws, which prevent me from building this out as a bucket, as a medical device to sell to you without making a kit and making it 3 times more expensive. So if you want wound care buckets that are pre-built, my friends over at Refuge Medical, they make some. They're not the same as this, but they're really good. Check those guys out. What we're going to be doing today is going through what we build and use. We put these in cabins. We put these on boats. We put these in places where it's possible that if you get snowed in the wintertime, you wouldn't be able to get access out. Maybe a helicopter can't get in and evac you, and you need to spend days or weeks caring for somebody. That's what these are for. So we're going to go through what's in one of these, and we're going to go step by step. It's all really well Tetrised in there, which means that, I'm going to take them out in no particular order, just in the way they come out. And then we're going to talk about what we've got. In a later video, we'll talk about how to deal with some of these things, but this is more of a what's in the bucket video. All right, off the bat, we've already talked about this, the Iridium Solutions Field IV Admin Kit. The video with the medical licensing is where we talked about this. You can go look at that module. So that'll take care of short-term IVs, blood draws, so if we need to put medications in or find out what the blood type that we're dealing with, or do a blood collection for a sample if we need that, we've got what we need in there. We have pre-filled syringes with saline. Okay, so this is if we need to either flush wounds or if we need to start an IV with a saline jump. We've got those. These are preoperative surgical sponges. So there's 4 of them. They have 4% GHG. Chlorhexidine gluconate. So anyways, they're what is used standard practice before you go into surgery to make sure the wound site is clean. So if you need to do any suturing, any cutting or stitching back together, that's what you're going to use. It's better than just using alcohol wipes or benzalkonium chloride. It's a higher grade. It lets you actually get in there and debride the skin. So that's good. 50 nitrile gloves, so you can do glove changes in and out. As we know, even not in a trauma center, but just in a nursing or care scenario, being able to keep ourselves safe is a sort of a priority, right? So if there's more people coming in that are hurt, sick, or injured, we need to make sure that that isn't transferring over to us as we're rendering care. So lots of gloves. We have a module here that deals with, it just collects a bunch of things. So in here, we're going to do a little wound care. So there's some butterfly wound closures. We have some hydrocortisone cream, nasopharyngeal airway with lubrication or lubricating jelly, a stethoscope. Not a great stethoscope. Okay, to be fair, this isn't a Littmann stethoscope. It's more of your sort of run-of-the-mill, better than nothing. If you know how to use a stethoscope really well, you probably want to include your own. And then a one-way CPR shield. So if you need to provide rescue ventilations for your person, if they start choking or for whatever reason they can't breathe, you can go ahead and give them rescue breaths. A little bit of saline ampules, 4 15 milliliter saline ampules to deal with shock or hypothermia. A little emergency space blanket. Triangular bandages, right? These can be used for cleaning wounds, for lashing appendages to bodies. This can be used. These are actually good for improvised tourniquets if you know what you're doing. Not that I recommend them over a windlass tourniquet, but they will flex into different things. Gauze pads, 2x2s, pack of them. Ace bandages, 3 of them, because you're going to get one or more of them dirty, contaminated, you need to be able to change dressings. So it's better to have more than just one of those. We've got bandages, we've got surgical tape, wound closing glue if it's just light wounds, because lots of times in a survival or in a situation where you can't get a hospital, infection from open wounds leads to death in many cases. So we want to be able to keep those wounds clean, covered, and sterile while they're healing. We've got some disposable oral thermometers, so these things will tell you your patient's internal temperature, which is going to help you manage hypothermia. There's no batteries in them, which can be really useful in the wintertime if the batteries don't work because it's super cold out, or if they've just been in storage for a long time and the batteries don't work because they're dead. So those ones don't take batteries. I've got a bag of bandages and triple antibiotic. I decided to do these as little antibiotic ampules because instead of doing a tube, these will flex. You could separate these down into smaller kits if you need to hand them out to people who are going out doing work, and you need to keep them, give them something that they can address small cuts or lacerations with on their own. So it gives you that ability. Burn dressings. These are 4x4 burn stop dressings. There's 2 of them. Minor burns this will deal with. Anything major, well, more buckets, I guess. We've got a bit of a medical pack here that helps out. It just adds on to our capabilities of doing medication administration, IV. We've got suture removal, the ability to remove hangnails and toenails. Scalpels are in here. Some shears, just regular shears, nothing special about that. So we can flex into this type of operation as well. Benzalkonium chloride BZK, so these are antiseptic wipes. Lots of them, the idea being that what you're going to be doing is cleaning, dressing, leaving for healing, and then cleaning, dressing, and leaving for healing in a sort of repetitive manner while whoever your casualty is healing. So we need to be able to do that more than just one time. The bottom of the bucket, instant cold compresses. Okay, so we want to be able to treat both hypothermia and hyperthermia, and not just at the point of injury or the point of movement. We want to be able to do that when they're running a fever or when they're having chills. We want to be able to sort of have a way that doesn't require extra power to have warmth and cold. So that's what cold packs are for. 500 milliliters of povidone iodine. So these are great as a sort of point of care thing. This is great to do larger wounds and clean larger areas. So very useful to have an actual bottle of iodine. Everyone knows what surgical masks look like after the last couple of years, and just because we don't like the idea of people walking around wearing them in regular life, they have a very useful and practical purpose when you're treating people who are wounded or have some sort of disease that you don't want to pick up. So surgical masks. Big bag of 3x4 non-adherent pads. So these can go and they can soak up blood or bodily fluids without sticking to the wound, so that when you take them off, they're not going to go ahead and create further problems with the wound. And then a big bag of gauze. We got Curlax, so that's your loose wound packing gauze or wound wrapping gauze. 3 of those, 4 inches by 4.5 feet. With conform bandages, this is wrapping gauze, 4 inches by 4.5 yards, I should say, especially the other one. And then 2 inches by 4.5 yards, also more wrapping gauze. Again, our deal here is we're not saving their life anymore. Now we're just helping them heal back to a point where they're functional members of our group or society, right? And then pads. So 5x9 abdominal and combine pads and 8x10 pads. And that's going to be the whole contents of the bucket. As you can see, there's a lot in here. I'm not going to profess that it will solve all of your problems, but what it should do is give a good start to getting people back on the track. Now, we said at the outset that these aren't for sale on our site, and I don't see that changing anytime soon. The purpose of this is to show you what items are available to you and give you some ideas of ways that you can go ahead and pre-plan your wound care in the event of there not being hospital providers or doctors or nurses or people that you can go to that will be able to solve this problem for you. I talked previously about, there's lots of books that you can get where there is no doctor, as an example. You can get reference manuals on paramedic training, nursing training. You can just go buy these. And they're the sort of thing that will give you instructions on how and when to use a lot of these items. I'm not talking about, books on like what to do. I'm talking about reference manuals, instruction manuals on how to do and when to do. There's an important difference there. So it behooves you to do a little research. I'd say get training, but short of, nursing school or doctor school, there's not a lot of training being pushed out there for these types of items. There is a lot of content. There are a lot of videos on YouTube and other places on the internet that people are talking about how to use individual items, what sort of scenarios they use them for their jobs. And that's a great resource. That's something that it would be in your best interest to study, or someone in your group to know, to a level at which they can teach everybody else in the group basically how to do all these things. Not at a high level, but if you have one person that can teach everyone how to just, how and when to use a space blanket, how and when to read breathing using a stethoscope, things like that, then you're going to be able to increase your survivability. You're going to be able to help other people. You're going to be able to retain some of the normalcy in your life that you've come to expect when the life that you've come to expect changes in a way that we weren't really expecting. That's all I've got for you today on the on our field administrative state, our wound admin station. Give me some comments in the comments section. Tell me if you like these things. If we're going way too far into the weeds for the medical stuff, there's more that we can do. There's more depth to all these things, but I don't want to oversaturate anybody who's watching with just showing off this stuff. This isn't a you should love us channel because we love us. I'm showing this in the hopes that it helps give someone some ideas on things that they can add. Now, some of these things I will sell on our website, so go to iridiumsolutions.ca. The .ca means .canada, not .california, in case there's any confusion. We're in Canada. That doesn't mean that if you're in America you can't order this. I'll happily ship it to you. But if you're in Canada particularly, you don't have a lot of resources up here that are sort of public facing that are doing this sort of thing. So go check out the website, see if there's some things on there that can help you increase your survivability in sort of crisis situations, and then in the aftermath of crisis situations too. I'm Ed from Iridium Solutions. I appreciate you taking the time today, and I want you to remind you to get outside, okay? Enjoy your life a little bit, get training, and keep getting after it.